filled some of the pinholes.
Welcome back to Painting the Beast, episode 20.
And,
anyway, you'll see these pictures here where I've used this really fine glazing putty to fill the pinholes. And goes on just really easy, and you can almost just get it off with a scuffing pad. It's that fine. And it just makes the surface really perfect when you get around to it. So normally I create a vacuum in the garage to suck the air out, and so it's pulling air from the outside in. But this can cause a problem with dust. So if you pressurize the garage, blow the air in through a filter and then blow it out, it pressurizes the garage, and that causes the dust to be pushed away from the garage.
the car's ready to paint now. So I've been de-dusting the garage and everything. I still got some more work to do. And the airflow is going to be coming from this direction. So I'm going to move some of this stuff to the front of the garage so that if dust does come off of it, airflow will take it out. And I'll have my bench and everything in front of it, but I'll blow it out really good and put a sheet over it. Should be fine. And the area is quite large, so it doesn't really create any dust, and it'll be blown out really well. So I'm going to probably paint the dash and the door jambs and sills first, and then I will do the roof, and then I will do the rest of the car. So I might actually do it in 3 sections, because the car is so big. I don't want to risk leaning over that roof with painted sides. It'd be very hard to do. Also, I don't want to be opening and shutting the doors, because that can create dust, which, you know, even though you blow out the car really well and vacuum it, it's not good opening and shutting doors when you're painting. So if I do the inside and outside of the doors and the dash and get that finished, and I can just close it, and doesn't have to be opened again. And then I'll do the roof, and because I don't want to lean over the doors to do the roof when it's wet, I'll do that separately. And then I'll do the I might do the I'll do the hood as well, because there's a seam there, so I can just mask this seam off here and spray the roof and the hood all in one. That'll work out quite well. And then everything else, the sides will be fairly easy, and I'll have to do the trunk and the sides at the same time, because there's nowhere to mask where you wouldn't see it. There's no seam.
Samantha and Maximilian often help me with my paint jobs, and in this case Maximilian's helping me, and he sprays better than me. He's got a really natural flow to it, and so I kind of planned out how we were going to do it, as you heard in the previous part of the video. But after discussing it with Maximilian, we decided to go ahead and do it all in one go. It's very large, but with me spotting and holding the hose and moving the ladders around and stuff, we decided that you know, it's always better to do it in one go if you can. It's just difficult. This car's so large, and my beautiful wife is actually filming me from outside through the window, and if she hadn't done that, I wouldn't have any videos of us actually painting it. So that was kind of cool, because I was able to go into my archives and pull that film out. Anyway, as we watch this video, I'll go ahead and I'll do some voiceover and tell you what we're getting up to. So it's very good to have a spotter when you paint, especially when you have a huge project like this, because you're leaning over a very wide car, and you can definitely get the hose in your paint job if you're not careful. Plus you need somebody moving a ladder around so that you can get up there and spray in all the tight little corners and stuff. And it's helpful when you've got that second person who, from their perspective, they can see how the paint's laying on, and especially if your lighting isn't perfect. Our lighting's not too bad in here, but not as good as a paint booth. So I can say to Maximilian, hey, slow it down a little bit, put it on a little bit heavier, or ease up a little bit, it's going on a bit thick. And I can say, yeah, put a little bit more on that edge there, I don't think you got that edge very much, and stuff. It's probably quite irritating for him, but we work out as quite a good team when it comes to spraying, and I feel that he just does a better job than I do. Another thing is when there's two of you, if you get a slight bug in the paint or something, what I'll do is I'll get a piece of masking tape generally, and I'll roll it around backwards so the sticky side is facing out, and I'll just slightly touch it on the bug, and that will often get the bug out the paint. We didn't have too many problems in this situation, and like I said, unlike normally when I'm sucking the air out of the garage and then I have my filters at the front of the garage pulling clean air in, when you have a situation like that, especially when it's not a real paint booth, you've got all the soffit and everything along the roof which is pulling air in. So you have the potential to pull dust into the garage and bugs. But if you actually are pushing the air into the garage, and then the filters at the front of the garage is, the air's coming out of the garage, you're pressurizing the garage. So that obviously helps you in reducing dust and the potential for bugs. The only problem is that my garage set up like that, it doesn't get rid of the overspray half as good as it does doing it the other way. So I'm not sure if I actually prefer to do it this way. Even though it may reduce the bugs, it also increases the overspray, which isn't very good for a number of reasons. So the verdict's still out on whether I prefer to do it that way or the other way. As you know, we decided on silver for this car, which is a little bit of a nondescript colour, and I don't even particularly like silver, but for some reason cars seem to speak to me, and every time I looked at this car as I was working on it, it screamed silver. And I think because the car is so out there and is such a in your face extreme car when you see it going down the road, I almost thought that silver would give it more of a kind of totalitarian look and kind of make it look meaner than a more flamboyant, like candy apple red or something, or something just really out there. The car kind of speaks for itself. And another thing is, funnily enough, people advise me not to paint it silver because they said it's one of the hardest colours to paint. Because of streaking of the metallic and stuff, but Maximilian said, humbug to that. He wasn't going to have a problem spraying silver, and so he kind of gave me confidence that silver was a good colour to do it. And now that I have done it silver, I am so happy with it because it just has that kind of real menacing look to it. So I think it was a real good call. So when I'm restoring one of my cars, I will often download on the internet. I'll look through the internet and I'll look at the car, and I'll save all the cars I really like the look of, the same model car. And then I'll go back afterwards and I'll look at them. And, often they'll be predominantly one colour. So it's like every car seems to have a colour which is really optimal for that car. Like, I don't particularly like yellow on a car, but some old muscle cars look great yellow. So I've painted a few cars yellow and I've really loved them. And my Cougar, you know, sublime green also doesn't sound that great, but on that car it just really worked with its kind of menacing drag racing big fat tires and its raked appearance. So every car has a really cool appearance in a certain color, and I think certain body styles are destined for certain colors. So that's how I go about choosing the colors of cars which I'm going to paint. So as you can see from watching the video, Maximilian's doing a really good job there, and we're getting some pretty good coverage going. And I think in this case we actually did about 3 coats of silver, and we used a Techna gun, which I think is I think DeVilbus owns Techna now, or Techna owns DeVilbus, but I think it was like a $700 or $800 paint gun, and it has a real broad fan spray pattern on it, and it lays the material on really nicely. But the funny thing is, you can get a Harbor Freight gun for 15 bucks, or one of their $50 guns, and I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I've actually heard that a lot of professional painters actually quite like them. So you don't have to buy a really expensive paint gun to get a really nice job. And the funny thing is, on one of the cars I had spent, you know, hundreds of hours restoring. I had my guns hanging up, and you know, I did my primer and this, that and the next thing, and I got around to painting it, and I painted the whole car, and I stood back and I thought, man, that looks nice, and I was really happy with it, and cleaned my gun. I went to hang it up, and I realized it was the Harbor Freight gun, and I forgot to use my you know, $700-800 gun. So it was kind of funny, a bit irritating, but I kind of lucked out because the paint job actually looked really good. So you don't always need a really expensive paint gun. You know, I'm kind of spoilt nowadays because, you know, I'm a little bit better off, so I can, you know, buy more quality tools to work with. But you know, most of my life I haven't been in that position, and you know, so I've done everything on a budget, like I know a lot of people out there are doing. And you know, obviously I still try and budget myself now. You know, things can get very expensive, and for this particular project, you know, I bought specific paint guns for each product. If a product called for a 2.5 tip for a paint gun, I bought a paint gun which had that tip on it, because I didn't really want to compromise. But sometimes if you don't have all that stuff, you can always thin down the product a little bit, like the primer or something, or even buy a primer knowing that, you know, your paint tip might only be a 1.7 or something, and the primer might be more conducive to using a paint gun like that. So little things like that are worth thinking about. But yeah. Anyway, to get back to what we're actually looking at here with painting the car, and we're going around and we're doing all the edges, inside the doors, under the door jambs, basically getting to the point where, now we've done the roof, I believe, at this point, so we now want to be able to close the doors and concentrate on the exterior. So before that, we almost want to finish, put heavy enough coats on the inside of the door frames and inside the hood and the trunk, so that we can basically close them and not have to open them again. So that's what we're doing at this stage, and I'm watching very carefully and pointing out to Maximilian any spots which I'd like a little bit more paint on. Now if you get a run at this stage, you can sometimes, if you have a cloth which doesn't have much, like fibers that can come out of it. You get a cloth and you can fold it just to an edge, and you can just dab the edge of the run. If you do it at the correct point in time, you can almost eliminate it, and then when you come over a little bit later and spray over it, it kind of just melts into it. But I don't think we really got any runs on this. In fact, we didn't. We will often lay the clear coat on thicker, and we won't be so concerned about a run in the clear coat. Especially we'll do a few drier coats first, and well, not dry but not real wet, and then after that's sealed and dried, we'll come back and we'll do wetter coats of the clear, and not so concerned about runs in the clear. Now when you do a metallic, you do have to be reasonably concerned about runs in the clear, especially if you get runs in the first few coats of clear, because the run will pull in the metallic, and even if you sand the run out, you're going to see where it was, because the metallic will cluster in that area. So obviously you're trying to avoid runs, but you also want to get a real nice thick coat of clear on there, and I'll discuss that when we start spraying the clear coat. But in this video we're just going to see it finished painting, and then the next video I make will be of us doing the clear coat, and you'll see how the paint transforms from the base coat to the base coat clear. So Max has been pretty thorough here, and getting some really good coverage on it. I was really happy watching him, and considering that neither of us do this that much, he's really good at what he does. We've been doing more paint jobs than we used to, but he's definitely retained what he's learned from the previous paint jobs, and he's doing a really nice job. But the different paints that you use have very different characteristics, and a lot of painters will prefer one brand over another because they say, oh, this brand just lays on so nicely, flows out really good. You'll hear things like this, and we're using a PPG Omni Plus product, which is not the cheapest, and it's definitely not the most expensive. It's kind of a middle of the road, and a lot of people say quite nice things about it, and but I have heard people say that it's harder to spray than some other products, although the consensus is that it's still quite a nice product to paint, but there's just other products which are better. But I've been very happy with the Omni Plus. It generally, the more money you spend on a product, the better the coverage. Now the paint that Maximilian recently bought for his Pro Touring Camaro build, that Randy Apple Red, was ridiculously expensive. I mean, I think he spent something like $10,000 on the products that he put on that car, and that's kind of getting ridiculous. But after seeing how it sprayed on, the coverage of it was really, really great, and it came out of a custom mixer from Texas, and I think it was the top of the line PPG product, and then he put his own color to it, and developed its Randy Apple Red, which is one of the most beautiful colors I've seen on a car. So the car's going to be mind-boggling when it's done, and the amount of money that Max has invested in that car, he kind of got himself into a corner that he didn't want to skimp on the quality of anything because of how much money he'd put into it, but it just keeps snowballing into becoming this bottomless pit of expense. Anyway, he says he's going to keep the car forever, and as far as muscle cars go, the second gen Camaro is all the family's favourite. That car, I think they just got the proportions so perfect on it. How low it is, how long the hood is, how short the deck is. And the car was way before its time in handling and everything. We've had about 10 second gen GM cars, either Trans Ams or Camaros, and they almost drive like a modern car if they're in perfect shape. But having said that, we often upgrade everything underneath it anyway. But just great cars. Anyway, I'm getting away from my paint job here, aren't I? So I generally mix the paint, and I'm really careful at what I do, and it's really important to mix the paint really well. A lot of people can get a bit ahead of themselves and stir it up and put it in their gun, but it can actually take quite a lot of mixing, especially with a metallic, to just get it really evenly mixed and in the gun. Also, even when it's in the gun, sometimes you want to swirl it around a little bit, because you don't want the metallic to start settling in the gun and come out uneven, especially after everybody telling us don't spray it silver, you're going to have streaks all over the car. It's really hard to do. So something to consider. Another thing that's important to do when you're painting a car is set up your workstation really neatly, because once you start painting, that's kind of the point of no return, and you can't be looking in boxes for filters and cups, and you run out of rags and cleaning solution and this, that, and next thing. So set up your bench really neatly, have everything you need. Try not to reuse filters and things for pouring the paint in, unless you have to. They're really cheap. Just put them in the bin, because sometimes you can put them down and or you're not really thinking, and dirt gets attached to them, and then you're putting it in your paint cup and pouring the paint in, and it would be a disaster if you get some dirt in there. So just make sure that you treat your mixing station as importantly as your paint job, because I've seen so many people where they're mixing the paint is a bomb site. Everything's lying on top of everything else, and it's just not a good way to set it up. Make life easy for yourself. Be really tidy. Anyway, the coverage is coming along quite nicely on the car. Max is going around and he's doing his second coat and third coat, and it's getting quite exciting seeing it coming together. So as you can see, we do get quite a lot of overspray in the air, especially the way I've set up the filtration this time. And obviously, you have to have filtration. A lot of people paint without any filtration, but that's not really a very good thing to do. Anyway, it still isn't too bad, and paint job's coming along really good. So we're getting close to the end of this part of the video, and the car's nearly finished being painted. And the next video will show how we clear coated it, and you'll see how it comes together. And then I will go ahead and do a video of doing the interior and putting that all together. And then I've got a lot of wiring to do, and I've got all the parts that go back on the outside of the car, which I'll show you what we did there. And I still haven't actually totally finished the interior. Still got the door panels and the headliner to do, And I don't know why I've been procrastinating about that. If I actually get down to doing it, it'll only probably take me a couple of days. But I just seem to have so many projects going, and helping the kids with their projects, that I just don't have time to do it all. You'll also see in future videos how I made kind of a modern gauge cluster out of the old one, and I put a touch screen in it, and I've got actually 2 cameras going on the front and 2 cameras going on the back, and yeah, it's getting quite nice inside. I've got the AC in there, so it actually comes out really nice. Like I said, I even still have some things to do on the car, but it's an amazing car. I just love this thing. You know, I've already had various people offer me ridiculous amounts of money for this thing. Well, I actually don't think it's ridiculous amounts of money, because if you consider how much money I've got in the car and the investment in time, to me, a year of my time is worth a lot of money. So, you know, I'm never going to sell this car. And I just hope somebody doesn't offer me such a ridiculous offer for it that I feel tempted to. But even then, to be honest, I still don't think I'd sell it for anything. You know, it's something that I've always wanted, and I just really don't want to invest another year to build another one to this extent that I did this one. So I'm guessing I'm going to probably be keeping it and handing it down to the kids at some point in time. Anyway, we're just almost wrapping it up now, and the paint job's basically finished, and it's looking amazing. I mean, it doesn't have that pop that it's going to have when the clear coat goes on. I mean, it almost looks good in this satin, you know, this satin silver. But to see the car finished and how straight it looks, you know, these cars didn't look straight from the factory. So, yeah, I know it's not perfect, but I am so happy with it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and it was nice showing it to you, and catch you next time, and thanks for subscribing.